Recently, Macy's on Technology, a company that manufactures A4 radars that are not equipped with U.S. fighter jets, expressed great regret over the judgment made by the U.S. government in the past, which truly embarrassed the U.S. government according to their latest military weapons column. The U.S. did not transfer the 4 key technologies needed to develop the KF21 fighter jets, and Macy's lost all the opportunities to sell the A4 radar in Korea's state-of-the-art weapon market in the past. Chat LAZN in the U.S. television was the final goal of selling of 4 radars through technical cooperation with Korea. If the maximum production of the KF-21 fighter jets was over 300 units, Ratio could make a huge profit in Korea and even plan to deliver additional radar organs for Korea's weapons development in the future. But after the U.S. government's refusal to transfer 4 key technologies, we had to devise a completely different way of contracting. After refusing to transfer 4 key technologies, Lasio changed the way he did it. I used a loophole to change the contract after signing an unequal license with Korea to prevent Korea from ripping off its radar. We were finally going to deliver the radar parts of the KF-21 fighter without transferring the 4 core technologies, but we need a precondition for this. It's just it was only possible if the Bureau ultimately failed to develop the A4 radar. In fact, when the U.S. refused to transfer the 4 key technologies needed to develop fighter jets, Raytheon was able to tell in a column that he really didn't expect South Korea to be self-sufficient in all of its advanced technologies at that time. Korea only established basic relationship in technology cooperation through military cooperation with Israeli companies, and even the specific progress of the A4 radar was not known. Even the U.S. government didn't expect Korea to develop all of its core technologies. Their logic was that they would eventually fail to develop and form unequal contracts with U.S. companies. I can't do it anymore because of the gallium nitride A4 radar that I made in Korea. As Korea developed its own 4-fold core technology, the influence of Macy's, which produces A4 radars, as well as Lockheed Martin, another giant American breadmaker, became even less. Following Macy's on, Lockheed Martin wanted to deliver the KF-21 fighter, but he got avionics. As you can see in the case of FA-50, the more parts of U.S. Lockheed Martin are used, the more reflective the benefits of Korean weapons being exported overseas. But now, on the 20th of our technology, you don't have to take a leaf out of the U.S. or look around for 21. Because the beam has been localized more than 80% of its components, it doesn't need to have an unequal partnership with the U.S. counterparts. Literally, with the parts companies control everything. In fact, Lockheed Martin of the U.S. originally rated the Korea-made KF-21 fighter jet badly. That's natural, because South Korea was one of the biggest customers in the past to buy U.S. fighter jets with Japan's Saudi Arabia. After Boeing's F-15SE speculation, a country that buys up to Lockheed Martin's F-35 suddenly said it would develop a domestic fighter jet, but after 6 months of launching the 6th prototype of the KF-21 fighter, Lockheed Martin's platform, which is almost 80% of its customers, I can't help but be very unhappy with what I have to do. As such, the development process of domestic fighter jets has been very difficult, and these results are more impressive and proud. South Korea's top reset technology development has failed to say success or failure, but journalists and politicians here for more than a few years have opposed the KFX project, saying that buying and using fighter jets in the U.S. nearly half. But the result is that if you buy a Lockheed Martin Rebattle, you'll get 4 times as much core technology, but you never transferred it. The U.S. even unilaterally notified South Korea that it was to prevent the leakage of key technologies, but from our point of view, they complained that they could not open the maintenance window even though they were directly purchased by themselves. At this time, I realized that Korea is a country without its own high-tech weapons. International diplomacy has no power. However, recently, a media outlet has taken a step further from here and has sent a positive signal, saying that it is now possible to fully mount the state-of-the-art Korean armed systems of the KF-21 fighter. So far, the U.S. It's amazing that we've overcome all these challenges and created KF-22 with our technology. Most importantly, the dependence of U.S. weapons is the real reason we have to build our own fighter jets, an official said. We don't have to suffer forever. Finally, Lockheed Martin made a big plea for it: completion of the KF-21 fighter jets takeoff flight. In less than a decade, Korea predicted that it would be virtually impossible to develop a 4th-generation fighter. This is what Lockheed Martin engineers in the U.S. refused to transfer Korea's 4 core technologies in 2016. It is expected that the deployment of the Korean Air Force with such powerful fighter jets will help strengthen our forces. Thank you for watching Korea Military Weapons Information. In this way, Korean fighter aircraft developers showed the world surprise at taking off for the first time in 10 years, and many countries around the world challenged, but this case was only possible in Korea in the 2000s. Registration, like the notification settings, will give us a lot of power to follow.